This has got the best leadership that I've had here at LSU. And not because they're better kids, it's just that they've been at this process now for 3 years. There's trust within the ranks. They're trusting each other, they're trusting the coaching, they're trusting what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So that has generally led to success on the field. Now, all those teams in year 3 have caught the ball, tackled the football, played their best when their best is needed, you know, all those things we haven't done yet. But the similarities are what I've just laid out, is they've been the most accountable, they've been the most trusting, they've had the best leadership, and this team does as well.
I know it's before the season, but does this team have some of the characteristics of those other teams?
It does.
In year 3?
Yeah, it does, and I guess that's what I was saying, is that this team does, because we're able to see that on a day-to-day basis, even in the off-season, because we track all that. So we clearly can see that this football team is on that same track.
Left side on the aisle.
Tyler Shaw with KBTX College Station. You've hired Mike Elton on your staff before as defensive coordinator. I'm just curious your thoughts on playing against him as a head coach this year, and just what he brings as a coach, and playing Texas A&M.
Yeah, Mike is a very so everybody's smart, right? But he's a smart football coach. And when I say smart, I don't mean intellectual, though he's got a degree from an Ivy League school, so we can say intellectual as well. But he's a smart football coach. He understands the game, and he's going to play to his strengths. Offense, defense, special teams. I think what makes Mike a really good head coach is that he's not just going to be a defensive coach. He's going to make sure that he oversees all of the units, because he knows it goes to winning. And I think that's why Mike's going to do very, very well in A&M.
Third row, left side.
Bob Belusi, CBS Austin, Texas football's come a long way since you faced him in 15 and 16 in Notre Dame. What makes the school SEC ready, and what are some of the challenges Texas faces and Sark's build to get to this point?
Like if you take a snapshot, right? You take the Texas-Alabama game last year and say, well, they're SEC ready. And they beat Alabama. But what happens is the guys in the front row that you talk to that year, they graduate. And so in the SEC, it's the ability to fill those seats again the next year. And then it's the ability to play the rigors of an SEC schedule week in and week out. So I think the medal is replacing those guys and then playing the rigors of that schedule week in and week out. So, well, I've gone against Lane, multiple times, as you know, whether it's SC or Mississippi, and have great respect for what he has done as a head coach. Now, the offenses have been really outstanding at both stops, and so it puts a lot of pressure on your defense. And we played really well in year 1 against them defensively, and really shut them down, if you will, in a number of ways. In year 2, we didn't have any answers, and so I think when you look at this matchup, it really was indicative of what our problems were, and you don't want to lose anybody to your program that you recruited, but there are times within your program that you present what the situation is, and if it's not agreeable to both sides, then you have to move on. And we wish him the best and hope that he has great success. He's a good kid, and he gets a chance to play an SEC school that will give him a high profile and an opportunity to have great success. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. It doesn't mean that anybody is at fault, as much as we hope that he has great success where he is.
John?
John Duse, WABTV, Baton Rouge. In the big room, you were talking about playing a game in Ireland. I know you've got some games with Clemson coming up, right? So when do you think that would fit? Do you have any idea what year and any idea on who you'd like to play in a game like
Well, if we could cancel South Alabama and maybe go to Ireland, no, I'm kidding. Look, you know, I would think anything that happens, you know, relative to an international game, we'll have to make some adjustments in the schedule. So, and there'll have to be, you know, parties that will agree to some movement on the schedule. So I'm not here to say that this is a done deal, but you're going to have to get a situation where if it's a non-conference opponent, that they're willing to move that game later to accommodate a game that if we wanted to play in Ireland. So there would be more than one party involved if that was to be put together.
Let's go to the back here.
Katie Brightman, CBS 42. Coach, last season you kicked off the season against Florida State, which resulted in a loss. What is the game plan going into your first game of the season to ensure you come out with a win?
Sure. Well, if I knew I could ensure a win, I'd probably do it. I'm not going to, like, we're not going to change our preseason, you know, ritual or program or, you know, how we do things. I really like what we do. I think it's smart. I think it's safe. I think it takes into account the proper rest. So our football. Look, if I felt like when we played Florida State, we were lethargic, or tired, or our legs looked like we were in mud, jumping offside, or, you know, things like that, then I would make adjustments. We didn't play well enough against Florida State, and that was year 2. And so what happened in that game is it exposed what was a real weakness for us, and what appeared to be, which was a weakness, was our defense. When you're at a small program, you got to know everything. You got to know, how the buses are managed. You got to know, how much money is going to be budgeted for the smallest of items. And when you know all those jobs, it's easier to hire the right people. And so he surrounded himself with good people.
Second row.
Coach Corey LeMounty, WNSP 105.5 in Mobile, Alabama, having a chance in your non-conference schedule to play the South Alabama Jaguars, led by Baton Rouge native Major Applewhite. Talk about that challenge in your non-conference.
They're a challenging football team. And Major, obviously I have a great deal of respect for what he's accomplished. He's innovative on the offensive side of the ball. He's an accomplished head coach. He'll have his football team ready. That will be one of those games where, after you schedule it, you're like, could we have done something different here? So the physicality and getting stronger and all those things and kind of similar to what I was talking about the rigors of playing in the SEC, you got to be able to duplicate that week in and week out. So this is going to happen for him. It's just going to take a little time as his body physically develops. And when he physically develops, it's going to be a really good football player.
Yeah, his story is very special. He had to wait his time as well. So, just watching him, what he was able to accomplish just 2 years at LSU is unreal. Hopefully he's not anywhere close to as good as him, and I'll be happy. So.
Final 2 questions here and then the front row.
Trevor Denton, Wave 31. Garrett, you played in some high-pressure situations at this point in your career. One of those was stepping in the middle of the game against Alabama last year. What did you learn from that specific situation on the road at Bryant-Denny, having to play in a huge rivalry game like that? What did you learn from that day?
Yeah, I've been blessed with the opportunity to step into some pretty tough situations. I feel like they've only made me better as a player. And now, getting the experience and the preparation as well as the starter, I think it'll only help me more. That experience at Alabama, the SEC championship against Georgia, at the end of the game against Auburn, I've been thrown into some tough situations, but it's only made me better.